Yes, for you Pink Floyd fans, this is from Dark Side of the Moon. That's the background. I'm a classic rock fan, and maybe you are too. Dr. Scott here at your service, here to give you your first Chapter 1 video on why are we studying accounting? Well, what are we doing here? What's some of the background information? So I'm going to share a screen and take a look at a PowerPoint. We're going to watch a video, and then we'll draw some conclusions when we're done. I like to start with the end in mind. One of the 7 habits, this is actually the second habit with 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Steve Covey, a great book, is to begin with the end in mind. So what's our end game? Our end game is to have you understand accounting and build a firm foundation for your business career. Why are you here? Well, probably here because you got to. It's probably a requirement in the business program, and some of you might have an interest in accounting. But the opportunity to learn is going to carry with you a long ways in helping you succeed. What can you expect? We're going to undergo a marathon. We have a lot of information, and we're going to cover in the 5 weeks what we normally cover in a full semester course. But then you say, no, hang on, I'm not an accounting major. Why do I need all this stuff? Well, this will be fine for accounting majors, but it's even more important if you're not. Because yes, business, you need management. You need operations. You need success in marketing, sales, have a good product or service. But if you don't track the numbers, if you don't understand the numbers, you can close your doors pretty quick. Let me give you an example. You're going to be approached by subordinates someday, and they're going to say, I got this $1 million idea. We can make $1 million with a $10,000 investment legally. That's a good thing. And you're going to say, well, sounds like a great idea or not. Well, you're going to have to look at the numbers. You're going to have to do some analysis. You're going to have to determine if someone's just blowing smoke or if it's for real a possibility. Or you might have that $1 million idea and have to convince your manager or your boss to run it up a flagpole in your organization. So let's take a look at some accountants and what they are actually doing and having the opportunity to see in the form of a video that we have available to you. And we're going to take a look here at 5 different job titles associated.
I've hired a lot of accountants in my time, and if you're going to become a profitable business owner, you too are going to have to hire an accountant. So who do you hire? You've got bookkeepers and controllers and accountants and CFOs and CPAs. I mean, the list is endless. And so today we're going to talk about which kind of accountant you should have for what circumstance you're in. Hey everyone, Eddie Hood here. I am the CEO of Ignite Spot Outsourced Accounting, and today we are helping you with step number 1 of becoming profitable in your business. You're going to need an accountant. Now, you don't have to hire us. You can hire in-house. So we're going to talk about that. If you hire in-house, who should you get? Because there's a lot of options, and there's a lot of different budgets out there that you need to be aware of so that you don't get the wrong person for the wrong job description. Okay, the first person you're going to hire is your bookkeeper. Now, this is the data entry specialist. Depending on where you live, you're going to pay a different amount for this person. So if you live in Idaho, for example, you might be on the lower end, around $18,000 to $20,000 a year. But if you're in New York or California, you could be upwards of $40,000 or even $45,000 a year. So know that this person serves a specific role. They're not going to be strong in creating reports for you or doing business analytics or accounting processes. Their job is to get data into the system. And if you're a new entrepreneur, this is likely you. You've been doing this yourself. So this is a good option to offload some of the heavy kind of, grunt work of accounting and allow you to begin analyzing some of the reports. A good hire for anybody that is ready to expand their business, but not really ready to invest in the high top tier accountants just yet. The next level up, guys, is the accountant. Now, a lot of people think bookkeepers and accountants are the same thing. They're not. It's very, very different, and you're going to pay a different amount for somebody that's an accountant. So here's how it works. Your bookkeeper has been putting data into the system all month long. Your accountant typically is helping to oversee that process, and then at the end of the month, they're doing some of the more heavy lifting tasks, which require, reconciling your trial balance and making month-end journal entries, doing some of the accruals accrual work that's going to need to happen in your financials if they're going to be right. And in some cases, they help create the financial statements, but not always. But they are at that month-end position. Now, for an accountant, depending again on where you live, you can expect to pay anywhere from maybe $30,000 up to $60,000. That's probably a fair range for somebody in this role. Next level up is the controller. Now, I loved doing controller work as I grew up in my career. It's this process of overseeing the whole accounting system. You get to orchestrate what's happening and when. You're making sure that data is getting into the system on time, the month-end journal entries are happening on time, and you're really responsible for the final product that's coming out of the accounting system. The balance sheet, the income statement, the cash flow statement, those kind of documents rest on the shoulders of your controller. Now, this is a more expensive accountant, and it should be, because this person needs to have a good amount of experience, should have completed several, absolutely at least a bachelor's degree in accounting, if not getting into their master's degree and having completed that. Expect to pay anywhere from the very, very low end, 45,000 up to maybe 75,000 for this person. Even I've seen it at 85,000 actually for certain areas of the country. All right, guys, now we're going to talk about the king or queen on top of the mountain. This is your CFO. CFO stands for Chief Financial Officer. They, in fact, hold a C-suite position in your company. This person's expensive. You want to be careful when you hire a CFO, because not all CFOs are created equal. Everything up to this point has been really task-related, focusing on just journal entries and debiting and crediting. But when you step into a CFO role, this requires strategic thinking, and not all accountants have that capability. They're not able to see the big picture and create plans that are business development related. But that's what a CFO should be doing. They should be taking all of that work the rest of the team is doing and translating that into your goals as the entrepreneur to make sure that we're hitting the targets we need to hit with the right amount of money behind each goal. So a CFO, you can expect to pay anywhere from $75,000 to $250,000 is typically what I've seen nationwide for somebody of this caliber. All right, guys, last but not least is the CPA. The CPA stands for Certified Public Accountant. This is the person that almost all of you probably have in your life right now. If you've started your company, you know that you need a tax guy, right? That's the CPA. His job is to do two things, really. One is to prepare your tax strategy, to take everything you're doing throughout the year and prepare it so that you are not spending more than you need to and giving it away to Uncle Sam. That's the goal. But number two, a CPA often fills the role of an auditor, where they come in as an independent party and they make sure that your books are accurate and clean and actually reflective of what's happening in the real world, that nobody's cooking the books. So if your CPA ever fills the role of your auditor, they're not allowed to fill any of the other accounting roles. It would be breaking the laws of accounting, really. So be aware of that. Now, what I do see happening a lot of the time in businesses as I consult and engage with them is they're actually using their CPA for lower level functions. They're using their CPA, yes, to prepare their taxes, but also to do their bookkeeping and their accounting work and their controller work. And CPAs sometimes will take that work because, number one, it's really easy for them to do, but it's also they're making a ton of money per hour doing your data entry. And so it's a bad decision for you. Don't do that. You need to make sure you have a bookkeeper doing the bookkeeping work, a CPA doing the CPA work. In terms of cost, you're going to spend anywhere between $125 an hour to upwards of $450 an hour if you're getting into really crazy stuff like, weird derivative stuff, or like oil and gas. Sometimes those guys get really expensive. So just be aware the industry you're in and the complication of what you do is going to affect the rate that you're paying your CPA. But a good CPA is usually worth the investment because they save you an insane amount of money down the road.
So you're getting a flavor of the kind of roles. Now, we're not going to be talking about the bookkeeping side of the house. We'll be talking about the accounting and more like the control role of understanding the debits and credits. You mentioned journal entries, you mentioned adjustments, and reading financial statements. And then being able to strategically evaluate what decisions do we make now that we know and understand where the numbers are coming from. I'm going to put a plug in for CPAs. All it means is that somebody passed a test, has experience, and has taken equivalent of roughly 4 to 5 years worth of coursework with a bachelor's level or might have a master's. No guarantee they're good. And by the way, not all CPAs do taxes. I managed a H&R Block office undergraduate in Boston when I was at Boston University and realized I didn't like taxes. So I graduated and I went to work. I worked as an auditor. I did not do taxes. And if you have a tax question, although I do my marathon, I take a day or 2 day class every year, I keep relatively current to understand it. I'm not a tax accountant, so you don't want to ask me tax questions. Otherwise, I'll have to call my accountant and get an answer, and that's okay. So CPAs can do audits, can do taxes, and can do consulting. And my area was accounting systems, office automation systems. I did a lot of consulting, and that was my passion, what I like to do. And the rest on this slide, talking about, you may not need to be one by the time you get out of class, but you need to be able to talk to as an accountant. You're going to be talking to accountants for the rest of your career. Accounting is the language of business, and you will understand financial statements, balance sheet, income statement when you get out of this class and have a deeper appreciation of accounting. 2 other plugs I want to make. One is, people think of accounting as black and white, as an exact science. 2 + 2 equals, yeah, people think it's 4. And usually it is. But sometimes 2 + 2 can be 5 or 10. You got 2 people that this side, 2 people on this with ideas, and they can make $1 million. So 2 + 2 can equal $1 million. When you look at that, you start saying, well, why isn't accounting so more exact? The most popular answer to any question I ask in my classes in accounting is usually, it depends. Now, it's not going to fly in a quiz, it's not going to fly in a test. Multiple choice, you can't circle B or C, it depends. You're going to pick an answer, and you're going to calculate the answer for most things. But my response when I ask a question in class and I hear you say it depends is a great response. My follow-up is going to be depends on what? Because there are all kinds of rules, regulations. And let me give you an example. I could ask you, how much money do you have in your bank account? Let's say you have a checking account. And you can give me an answer. Yeah, I've got $200. But wait a minute, I've got $300, I think, because there's about $100 in checks that haven't cleared yet. Should I include those? And I made a deposit for $50 today, and I can't get to it for 2 days. They're going to hold on to that, and they won't credit my account fully for 2 days. Oh, by the way, I also ordered checks for about $15, but they haven't shipped them yet. As soon as they do, I'm going to have that deducted. You can give me 4 answers, and they're all right. How about if I offered you a bonus? I said, I'm going to give you a 10% bonus on the net income. Well, you're now starting to hear that maybe that net income calculation can be done in a few different ways. You can take depreciation over a longer or shorter period, change the expenses on there, and the profits can go up or down, or how you account for things. And you sell something and maybe they're going to buy it now, but they're going to pay for it over the next 2 years. Is that a sale now, or is that a sale over 2 years? We'll answer those kind of questions. Our goal is to help build a solid foundation, the language of business, and understand the terminology. When you understand the terms, you can go a long way to understanding business. This is information you will use throughout your personal life and your professional career. So this is going to be a course important to build upon. You're going to use the information here in finance. You're going to use it when you graduate. You're going to use it when you get a mortgage. You're going to use it when you're evaluating a business. I used it when I came to Francis Marion. I looked at their financials to see what kind of shape the school was in. By the way, we're in real good shape, and we are weathering the storm pretty well. I just spoke to some other schools that I knew in Wisconsin, and they're furloughing staff, and they're having some other challenges. So we're in pretty good shape, and you're in a good place, and you're with good people, and hopefully you'll have a good class. I do look forward to your participation. I'm going to give one other plug and want to talk about with you. Notice at the bottom, yeah, you got my phone number. I tell you, you can call me 24/7. If it's 2 in the morning, chances are my phone's in another room being charged. You won't wake me. Or I may be in the same room with the phone, and I might even answer it. I've had students tell me, I was hoping to get your voicemail, but I guess I'll talk to you. I had a question. I was going to leave you a message. And if I'm up, I'll take the call. If I'm available, I'm happy to help you any way I can. You've got my email address. I want to give a plug for LinkedIn. You are going to have a LinkedIn assignment. I have that in all my classes. I've done that for the past 10 years because it's really powerful in what it is. I've had students contacted by Fortune 500 companies, these 500 largest companies in the country. They're contacted saying, hi, would you like an internship? One student said, I was approached by this company, Northwestern Mutual Life, NML. Have you heard of them? I said, well, they have one of the best internship programs in the country. They are Fortune 500. What do you know about them? Well, I've never heard of them before, but they wanted to talk to me about internship. And sure enough, he got an internship. He was in the top 5% in the country and got a trip to the Caribbean. It was worthwhile being on LinkedIn. I encourage you to put your LinkedIn address everywhere, on your signature blocks, put it on your resume, put it in the closing screens when you have a presentation. And when you put it up there, let's say on a resume, I've interviewed hundreds of people, I've read through thousands of resumes. I look for something on a resume, and most folks that do, you get 5 to 10 seconds to wow me, or wow anybody looking at your resume. And you want to catch their eye. How many of you are going to graduate with a major? Okay, confirmed. How about with a GPA? Okay, you'll have one of those. How about with a degree? Okay, yeah, you're graduating, you're going to have one of them too. Chances are you worked, might have been part-time, might have been full-time, and yeah, you want to emphasize, you might have played a sport or been involved in intramurals or varsity sports. But what sets you apart? What differentiates you? I'm looking for something there. Oh, you traveled to London. You were in South Africa. You were over in Moscow. Cool, tell me about that. Well, when you put a LinkedIn address at the top of your resume next to your name, address, phone number, email address, that shows you're plugged into a professional social network. What does that mean? You're cut above. You're saying, I'm actually professional enough to include that. By the way, they're going to check it anyways, whether you list it or not. They're also going to check your Facebook, whether you list it or not. And I would discourage listing Facebook. But when you get the idea of anything that can set you apart, you get a CPA, a CMA, or some other certification, CFA, that certification will raise your resume to the top of the heap. So on the top of the pile, that's something you want to be aware of, and you want to differentiate yourself any way you can. That concludes our first video of Chapter 1. And again, I'm here to serve if I can help in any way. I look forward to having you in class and to your success. Thank you.